What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is, I said I was gonna go on like a spree of uploading videos. I will be uploading, this is gonna be after my mock draft. So this is my big board as of February 24th. I'm recording two videos on Wednesday. That's why I'm doing the same thing. But I'm gonna be doing my top 50 prospects. And this is my 50 prospects are based a little different than draft analysis or the YouTube gurus. My big board is based off of athleticism and the pure football player that they are. So that's why you're going to see a couple players in the back half of my top 50 that you might not recognize, but I do, and I recognize, and I superbly like. People usually rank their big boards based on where players are going to be picked. Mine are based off of athleticism and the ranks they play based on the positions and where they grade. So I'll start off real quick, trying to keep this under 30 minutes. I have Trevor Lawrence as my number one overall prospect. Super hyped up quarterback since high school. Really solid prospect. He has almost no flaws. Number two, Penei Sewell. He's probably the maybe second or third best athlete in this draft class. I like him a lot. Penei Sewell goes number two in my big board. And I have Jamar Chase at number three for my big board, just a big physical athlete out of LSU. He's going to run a little faster than I think people think. I think he's going to run sub 4.45. Really good perimeter guy. And I think he's going to be really good for a long time. And then I have Justin Fields, number four. I know you're like, wait, he's a quarterback. He might not be the most athletic, but like I said, these are based off of graded scales on their position and their athleticism. So, quarterback is the number one position in football. So he's going to be graded on a scale higher than most of these players. Even though he might not be the best athlete or the best football player, just based on the rankings and how good he is, that's how he's going to weigh. Like you're going to see a couple tackles that are not going to be, in my top 50 that you might, or a couple edge players that are in your top 50 that I might not have, just because of how I weigh them and how they look on film, on paper, and in the stat sheet and in the locker room. Number four, Justin Fields comes off the board. He's the second quarterback behind Trevor Lawrence who I would take and start day one. And number five, I actually have Kyle Pitts. Super athletic tight end. He could play everywhere, slot, inline, outside. He is a bigger version of Percy Harvin, a very big, much bigger version of Percy Harvin. He's about 6'6", 240. He might weigh in a little bit heavier, but that doesn't scare me away. And number six, I have Devonta Smith, my number two receiver. Just really good, really athletic, really great route runner and great hands. Jalen Waddle is my number seven prospect. He's my number three receiver. He's just really good, really athletic, really straight line speed. And I think he's going to be in this league for a long time. And then you're like, wait, he's going all the way down? I have Micah Parsons at my number eight prospect. He's just the best linebacker. He's really good, really solid. Edge, off ball, hybrid, old school. He plays whatever you want to play. In number nine, I have Patrick Surtain, my number one corner. He goes number nine in my mock draft as well. If you noticed, really good corner. He's my number one. I'll take him over many other guys. And then I'll actually take Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, super athletic linebacker. He did fall to pick 30 in my mock draft, but like I said, he's just a really good athletic linebacker who fits this day and age hybrid mold. A little lighter on his feet, a little longer arms, and a lot better in coverage. Number 10. And my number 11 prospect, I hate to do it. I'm not the biggest fan of Zach Wilson, but he is the next best prospect on the board. Really good quarterback. I would not start him now. I would wait a year or two. He reminds me of Mitchell Trubisky a lot. That's all I'll say. Number 12, I have Christian Darrisaw. Not Christian Darrisaw. I thought that was Christian Barmore. Where's Christian Barmore? Where's Barmore? Wow. He's 35 on the Draft Network's rank. Christian Barmore, number 12, monster pass rusher, plays all over the line, high upside, high floor, low risk. He's a guy that if he can stay healthy, he's going to dominate for many, many years to come. And number 13, Farley has fallen far enough. I like him a lot. I'm not knocking him. I just don't think he's as elitely athletic as people think. He's 6'2", 210-pound corner. Is, like I said in my mock draft, not going to run sub 4.4, not going to jump 40, and he's not going to bench 20 plus reps. He's just a really big athletic corner, not 4.4 speed, not sub 4.4 speed, but he's going to run in the high 4.4s, 4.48 to 4.52, I think, in that range. Still good speed. He's just not as elitely athletic as people think. And number 14 on my board, number 14 overall on the Draft Networks, Travis Etienne. I think he's really athletic, really good, really straight line speed, great receiver. But I think that he's a guy that should have came out last year, would have been the only first round running back, or the second first round running back, or maybe only one. They probably would have taken Etienne over Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but really good. And then number 15, back-to-back running backs. It's 1A and 1B, just depending on who you like. I like Etienne's straight line speed a little bit more than Najee Harris, even though he really developed as a pass blocker and a pass catcher this past year. He's just really good, really athletic. Yes, he doesn't have the great straight line speed, but he is really good. And number 15, Trey Lance. I just like him a lot. Really good quarterback. That 28 touchdown and no interception season is no fluke, but I just don't think he's gonna produce that in the NFL. He's probably gonna be a 26 to 30 passing touchdown quarterback, 35 to 4,000 yards, 3,500 to 4,000 yards a season, 8 to 12 picks a season. He's gonna be really good. He's just not gonna be as elite and as minimal as a turnover guy and a minimal mistake guy as he was at North Dakota State. Number 17, I have Kwity Paye off the board. Really monster edge rusher. He's nearly 280 pounds at 6'3", but does not look 280. He looks about 260 pounds of pure muscle. He's a mountain of a guy. Watch out. He's probably going to play, 4-tech on the inside of a tackle and just dominate for the better part of a decade. And then I have Zaven Collins, number 18 on my board. He didn't go in the first round of my mock draft last year. My mock draft that I'm uploading on Thursday, just because I felt like Nick Bolton, Owusu-Koramoah were going to be the guys that are going to seal out that first round. I think people are going to look at Zaven Collins and look at Tulsa and kind of, turn an eye or be half in, half out on Zaven Collins. He's really good prospect. I would take him in the first round. Just not top 20 pick wise. I still think he's a little raw, but he is a bigger, better version of Zach Bond, who's taken in the third round by the Saints last year. And number 19, I have, where are all my playmakers? I have Kadarius Toney. I wasn't the biggest fan of Kadarius Toney coming in this year. I thought he was only because of his size, I thought he was going to measure at about 5'10", 175 pounds. Came in at 5'11", 190. And he still has the fluidity and speed to go with it. So that's why he's a top 20 pick for me. And then, here come the run on offensive linemen on my board. Number 20, Rashawn Slater. I like his flexibility, but I still think he's just a shorter guard. Christian Darrisaw, I really like, but I am going to put Elijah Vera-Tucker in front of him. I like Elijah Vera-Tucker a lot more. I feel like he did play tackle, but he played guard this year. But I think he's a guard, true, the best interior offensive line in this draft. And number 22, I want to put Terrace Marshall, but I think I'm going to put Bateman just because I have that Devontae Adams comp with him. I feel like he has a lower floor, but a higher ceiling compared to Terrace Marshall. And number 23, I have Terrace Marshall coming off the board, a bigger slot receiver, not as fast as people think he's going to be, but a guy that can stretch the field horizontally. And then I'm going to go with Rondale Moore to round out 24. I think he's really good, a little smaller than I anticipated, missed quite significant time over the past 2 years. But when he's on the field, like I said, he's electric. And then number 25 to round out my top 25, I have Nick Bolton, linebacker out of Mizzou. Like I said, he's a really good linebacker, really good, new day and age in that 235, 4.5 speed, just a compact linebacker, downhill, great in open space. and a really good athlete. And then Christian Darrisaw, just the next best tackle on the board. I like him a lot. He's just not my favorite. I would not take him top 15. I would see if he fell, and then I'd take him. But if he got taken top 15 in front of me, I'd be okay letting him slip. Um, and then I have Aziz Ojulari out of Georgia, a smaller edge rusher. I think people are going to try and, mold him into an off-ball hybrid, like a Zaven Collins, who's a bigger off-ball hybrid linebacker. But like, oh my gosh, I was just on Hassan Reddick, um, Zach Bond. I think people are going to try and convert him, but he's a pure edge rusher through and through. And that's where he sits at number 27. Number 28, I have Gregory Rousseau. I would have put him higher, but I just feel like other guys have so much more film and they're so much more steady. Where Russo put up redshirt freshman film a year ago, first time playing defensive end and dominated. But, I feel like teams are a little backing up on Russo. I wouldn't mind taking him 28th overall. And then where are my other players? Where are my other guys? Where are my other guys? Pat Fryermuth. I would not take him top 40 in top 45 in this draft. But he's my 29th overall prospect. I've been really turning the corner on Pat Fryermuth. I'm not going to compare him to George Kittle yet, but I see a lot of George Kittle, Travis Kelce, a great inline tight end, but it's still a machine in the pass game. And then number 30, this is a guy that not a lot of people are very high on, but he is my number one safety, Paris Ford out of Pittsburgh. If you guys have never heard of this guy or seen this guy, he's probably one of the skinnier guys on the team at any time, on the field at any time, but he's one of the hardest hitters and the most aggressive players at any time on the field when he's on it. Paris Ford, about 5'11", 190 pounds. He just flies around like a missile and just hits guys coming across the middle, breaks up passes on the perimeter. I love him as a single high free safety and cover one or cover three, but I think he could come in and play nickel or play in the box in a nickel based defense. Paris Ford, number 30. And then I have Jaycee Horn, number 31, as a prospect. Like I said, he's not my favorite corner, but I do believe he's a really, really good prospect. And I think that he's a guy that could come in and start day one on many teams. And number 32, I have Samuel Cosmi rounding out the first round big board. The 32nd pick is the last pick of the first round. And I think Samuel Cosmi is a guy that I was really high on, but, I just feel like Mayfield, no, not Jalen Mayfield, but I feel like Elijah Vera Tucker as an offensive lineman. Who else did I have? Elijah Vera Tucker, Christian Darrisaw, and Rashawn Slater. Well, of course, and Penei Sewell are better offensive linemen and prospects. It's not bad being the 32nd overall prospect in a tackle in a class like this. And then I know it's going to seem like I'm just on the same category, but Tevin Jenkins, I really like Tevin Jenkins a lot. I feel like he's a guy that, he just fits the part of certain teams. He looks like a Steeler. He looks like a Raven. He looks like these old school hard-nosed offensive linemen that are just going to get their hand in the dirt and get dirty for 60 minutes of play and come home and not get recognized as one of the best, but be okay with that and keep grinding. And I think that's what Tevin Jenkins truly is. And I know there's a couple of tackles here. There's a running back. There's a couple edge guys. But this is when, my board kind of starts to get a little off. I do love Levi Onwuzurike. I took him in the first round in my mock draft. But I think he's a guy that I said could play very well, great flexibility all over the line, great size, and he's a great run stopper. He's a guy that has long arms, can set an anchor and gap control, and that's something that he did at Washington for 3-4 years. And then go back to edge. I do love Joseph Osai out of Texas. I think he's a lot more raw than I thought he was at this point in the season, but the more I watch his tape and watch his highlights and check his pressure stats, I think he was a scheme fitted defensive end. But Joseph Ossai is a guy that can play pure edge, off ball. I think he's a guy that can, you can manufacture pressures with him with stunts. I think he's a guy that will work really well with stunts at the next level. And then just to piggyback off another edge rusher, Jalen Phillips, I took him 27th to the Ravens in my mock draft. He falls to 36th overall. His concussions are the only real thing. If you take concussion history out of the thing, out of my field of view, out of my memory, he's a top 20 pick in my opinion. He's really good. He looks the part and he plays the part. And then now going to pure linebacker, I like Dylan Moses. I would have taken him in the first round last year. I would take him in the first round this year, and I would take him in the first round next year. He just plays the part. Leader linebacker, downhill, good in space. The only thing was the ACL injuries, and I think back-to-back years. That's the biggest concern, but he could play. He can play. And then corner, I will be taking Asante Samuel Jr. out of Florida State. Like I said, a lot smaller and really good athletic like his dad. Not as physical, but like I said, he's his own player, and he can really, really, really just come into his own. And then 39, Javonte Williams, running back out of North Carolina. Really, really big athletic running back. And then I'm going to take his teammate back to back, Michael Carter. I think these guys, just personal preference on just who you like. Javonte Williams, a little bit of a smaller back. Michael Carter, am I getting these guys confused? I think I might be getting these guys confused. Javonte Williams is the bigger back at 5'10", 220 pounds, more of that bigger downhill in between the tackle runners, while Michael Carter is a smaller back at 5'8", 202 pounds, who's really good as well. But, these two guys are back-to-back, guys, opposite style plays. Have a downhill bruiser with Javonte Williams. You have a receiving back, Michael Carter, who's good in open space. I think these two guys, if you're a team and you're in need of two running backs, I think you could go second and third round pick with Williams and Carter. You could have a really good tandem who they've been playing a couple years already together. And then I have Tylan Wallace at number 41. I thought Tylan Wallace was a guy that should have came out 2 years ago, and he would have been a solid second round pick. He's a guy that I did say Rashad Bateman reminds me of Devontae Adams, but Tylan Wallace reminds me of Devontae Adams as well. Not the biggest guy. He's a little smaller than I thought. I thought he'd come in at about 6'2", 200. He's only at about 5'11", 195 pounds when he officially weighed in. We'll see what he weighs in as his pro day. Tylan Wallace is a guy that could stretch the field. He's probably the best contested catcher guy left on the big board. Tylan Wallace, though, number 41, really good. Just injuries over the past years. He was healthy this year, though. So that's a really, really big step up. And number 31, Wyatt Davis, he was a guy that I was really high on earlier in the year, but when the season started, I thought he was going to be a top 20 pick. Just guys started rising and he started falling. Really good tackle, though. There are some guys on here that I really do like. Mayfield, Ray Dunes, two good tackles. Brevin Jordan is a really athletic hybrid, new day and age, smaller tight end that could play in the slot. Jabril Cox, Javon Holland. But this is where I'm going to really start reaching. And these are just guys that I've been watching for a long time. Hamilcar Rashed Jr. is a longer, linkier, off-ball guy, about 6'4", 6'5", 235 pounds. You do want more weight on a frame like that if he plays linebacker. But he's really long, really lanky, really great edge speed moves. And I think he's a guy that's going to, if he could get to the right scheme, he's going to play for a very, very long time. And now number 44 on my big board, Elijah Molden. He's a really good nickel and slot corner, but I think he can play free safety at the next level. I wouldn't mind if he plays block safety for a year or two, like Budda Baker, and he ends up sticking there. But I think Elijah Molden is a guy who's probably a top 4 or 5 cover DB in this draft. And number 45, I will be taking a safety, but it's not the safeties you think in Javon Holland or Trayvon Morig. It's actually Andre Cisco, a little bit smaller than I thought. I thought he'd be about 6'3", 210 pounds, only sizes up at 6 foot 203, but a true junior, 21 years old out of Syracuse. I like him a lot. He's really long and lanky. I just thought he was going to be a 6'3", 205-pound safety that you could really mold into your own. You could keep him at that size and play him at, free single safety high, or drop him into a mid zone or a flat in the nickel. Or you could just bulk up and play him box safety because he's really, really physical. But he's a guy that I like a lot. And I think that he has a low floor, but high upside. If you stick with this guy through his rookie contract, he will really, really pay through for you. And now to finish my last five guys in my top 50, there's going to be a lot of edge guys. It's Carlos Basham out of Wake Forest. He's at about 285 at 6'5". He's a really big hybrid guy. He's just, there's been so many flashy risers that Carlos Basham just keeps getting pushed back. He could realistically go top 30 in this draft. But he's a guy that I really like a lot, in that he's just, just a hybrid guy. He could play nose, 3-tech, 5-tech. And here's a guy, Joe Tryon, who's really rising. 6'4", 250-pound edge guy. I think he could be the next big thing, not just because he's from Washington, but I think he could really be the next big pass rusher in this upcoming of new wave guys where, pass rushers are your number 2 value on a team. And Janarius Robinson, I know I said this is literally the run on edge guys. Janarius Robinson out of Florida State, 6'5", 266-pound defensive end, reminds me a lot of Cliff Averill. I think he could have Cliff Averill-esque type, a guy that's in that 260 range, 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" range. Really long arms, but, has a nasty bull rush coming from the 5-tech. And I think Janarius Robinson can really do that. And then I have been very high on this guy, Joshua Kendo, his teammate out of Florida State. And if you don't know who Joshua Kendo is, look him up. A 6'7", 250-pound defensive end, that has, my opinion, is going to be better than Davenport coming in, and he could be better than Davenport as of right now, Marcus Davenport. Another 6'7", 250-plus pound defensive end coming from UTEP. Kendo has a higher floor and a higher ceiling than him, in my opinion. And then prospect number 50, this is going to be spitball. I really did not practice for this one. I only did a top 25, and I try to keep it the same. In my top 25 on this big board, I have about 18, 19 of the actual picks from my original big board, my top 25. Let's just scroll down. Quarterback, no. Running back, no. Love Nico Collins. I think he has great, not the best stats, but a great chance to use his size and upside. I know a lot of people love Elijah Moore. I just don't think he's a top 50 pick for me. Oh, I love me some Jalen Darden. Let's see. I would love to put Previn Jordan here. Tackle, Mayfield, Ray Dunes, Carmen, Leatherwood, Little. Oh my God, these guys are killing me. But I think I do have to put Landon Dickerson at my 50 spot. I think he's an old school guy. He reminds me a lot of Ryan Jensen, the Buccaneers center, who in my opinion is my fan favorite offensive lineman. I just love him. He sticks for all of his players. Nasty, plays through the whistle. Hard-nosed blue chip guy. Landon Dickerson has an ACL tear. I think he'll be able to come back and play week 1. But that's my top 50 prospects. I did have a late run on edge and tackle players. I'll just recap it. Going 1 through 50, I have Trevor Lawrence, Penei Sewell, Jamar Chase, Justin Fields, Kyle Pitts, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, Micah Parsons, Patrick Surtain, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Zach Wilson, Christian Barmore, Caleb Farley, Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, Trey Lance, Kwity Paye, Zaven Collins, Kadarius Toney, Rashawn Slater, Elijah Vera Tucker, Rashard Bateman, Terrence Marshall, Rondell Moore, and Nick Bolton to round out my top 25. And to start off my back end 25, Christian Darrisaw at 26, Azeez Ojulari, Gregory Rousseau, Pat Fryermuth, Paris Ford, J.C. Horn, Samuel Cosme, Tevin Jenkins, Levi Onwuzurike, Joseph Osai, Jalen Phillips, Dylan Moses, Asante Samuel, Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, Tylan Wallace, Wyatt Davis, Hamilcar Rashid Jr., Elijah Molden, Andre Cisco, Carlos Basham, Joe Tryon, Janarius Robinson, Joshua Kano, and Landon Dickerson to round out my top 50. I think I'm going to do a top 75 after the pro days, and I'm going to do a top 100 prospects going into the 2021 NFL draft. This is my top 50 big board. I just want to thank you guys for listening in, clicking on the video. A like, share, and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. I am trying to do this thing as a full-time, not just as a hobby. I am trying to get other people in on board. So if you want to be a part of the videos, or if you have any insights or suggestions or critiques, do comment down below, or DM me, personally message me on Instagram, my personal Instagram, or my 206-559 football Instagram. I'll be linking all those in the description below. Thank you again for all the support and the love, and I'll catch you guys on the flip.